Yes.
Now you got no excuse.
That's a bunch of water.
No excuse.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call to order the regular city council meeting for November 21st, 2023. Roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Member Volter,
Here.
Member Neary,
Here.
Member Neiman,
Here.
Member Kelly,
Here.
Member Wyrick, Member Lovins,
Here.
Mayor Baker,
Here.
City Administrator Fawcett,
Here.
City Attorney Edmondson.
Here. Fantastic. Now, if we could all raise for a moment of silence, and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda will be the mayor's report. It's been a quiet but busy month. As you probably have seen, we have the ramp over here on the Berry Street access ramp is starting to be completed. It should be ready by year's end for traffic to go back and forth on the ramp, which is really important for our first responders to be able to get in front of anybody that might need help, and also be very important for our main street for people who want to shop our businesses and buy our wares as they're coming down there. So it's gonna be a lot easier for people to access the main street. So we're very happy about that. Also want to point out we had a very nice Thanksgiving lunch here last week with city administration and our staff, and we had some friends from Bellevue coming over. But once again, I just want to give everybody a note of thanks that, you know, we're thankful during these times of year for all the friends and family that we are family that come together to make this place a special place to live and work. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Next on the agenda will be the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of October 3rd, 2023?
So move.
Member Volter's made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Member Neer's made a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any nays? Any abstentions? Ayes have it. Next up is the public comments. Now, this is for current legislative items on the agenda. So I believe we all have a copy of the agenda this evening. So if you have any comments regarding the agenda tonight, the podium is yours.
That comes later. Let them know the audience later. There'll be audience comments after legislation too, so if you want to speak on other issues, you can speak then. Okay.
What's that? All right, no comments regarding tonight's current legislation. On to the ordinances. The first ordinance will be the first reading of ordinance 2023-20. Ms. Klein, please.
An ordinance amending sections 96.15, 96.16, 96.17, 96.18, 96.19, and 96.99 of Title IX General Regulations of the City of Dayton Code of Ordinances dealing with sidewalk maintenance in the city, including enforcement provisions and penalties for failure to maintain sidewalks.
A little background on this is that our sidewalk ordinance is 50 years old and it's a little outdated. So we've updated it. It was having our zoning administrator, which we don't really have anymore, being the one to inspect sidewalks. Also had public works director to be the one determining whether those sidewalks should be repaired. That should really be code enforcement now. We have a very active code enforcement department. They'll work in conjunction with the public works department to make those determinations. But we want to make sure that if people don't maintain their sidewalks, they're causing major problems and they're a nuisance, that code enforcement can now enforce this ordinance to make sure that they do that. We also, in addition to the changes in the ordinance, there are some regulations that are being approved as well that is in a separate order resolution that you'll vote on here in a minute. And it talks about some of the policies that citizens should follow in terms of maintaining sidewalks, what their responsibility is. Basically, the city is responsible for the curbs, and the citizens are responsible for the sidewalks about their property. We also, in the past, I know, have done a joint, we funded a joint sidewalk repair program. We haven't done that the last couple of years, but we do mention in the regulations that that is a possible item in the future. The city council wants to budget that. I hear it was very successful and quickly, it was before my time, it quickly, the funds that were set aside for it were quickly used. So if we have a good budget year and the council wants to do that, we might be able to do that in the future. So anyway, we're just trying to make our ordinance a little more up to date than the one that was around 50 years ago.
So what were the specific changes?
Well, primarily, like I mentioned, we don't have the zoning administrator doing it anymore.
So it's code enforcement does it now?
Now code enforcement does it, and people can be cited. We have like a rental property, for instance, down on Second Street on the other end down here past, and it's literally got trees and bushes growing out of the sidewalk. And we've been on the landlord to fix it, and he hasn't done anything. So
Okay.
in the past, we had an antiquated system of putting liens on, and I think the way it was done in the past would violate what the statute now has about code enforcement and how you put a lien on. And so it was, to me, it was probably no longer valid because changes have been made in how we are supposed to do liens when we have code enforcement issues. So that's the primary change. But the idea is, we're not going to be draconian. We know sidewalks have cracks, but there's some sidewalks that are just so serious. They're a nuisance to the public and they need to be repaired. And this gives us a little extra power to make that happen.
Jay, with this ordinance here, I imagine that any kind of a sidewalk like let's talk about this summer when a lot of people had a lot of weeds on some of the sidewalks. Would this allow, after a citation, for Public Works to clean it up and then charge the property owner?
That's correct. So if it's a public nuisance, we have the right to abate a nuisance and then put a lien on the property for whatever it costs us to do that.
Okay, thank you.
So generally, like all code enforcement, we're pretty, we first give a notice. It's not binding. It just says, hey, you've got an issue here, please take care of it.
Right.
If the notice is ignored, which it sometimes is, then we issue a citation and then they can appeal that, or if they don't appeal it, then fines accrue. And we would prefer they take care of it. That's our primary goal.
I have
So-
a question.
Yeah.
So who is responsible for the trees that were planted, let's say, on the sidewalks? And let's say I just bought a house and the concrete should have been repaired 20 years ago. So you're telling me with this ordinance now, it's the city did not take care of the tree or whomever was responsible because it's growing into the pavement.
Right.
So now, if we approve this, I'm responsible for something that was failed 20
You are-
years ago?
You're always responsible, even on the old ordinance passed 50 years ago, you're responsible for your sidewalks that abut your property. So it's just that responsibility has not changed. It's still the same as it was.
So if
But if
I
we-
have a house on the avenue and I don't like the tree, even though you planted it, but since I'm responsible for the sidewalk, I can go cut it down
No,
without
no,
permission?
you cannot. That is not, you have the responsibility to maintain the sidewalk. Those are city trees that are in that little strip. The city maintains those. We cut them down when they're a problem. And occasionally they do cause sidewalks to pop up. And generally, we will repair those when it's a city tree that does it. But there are a lot of other sidewalks that are, cracks aren't result of trees. How many trees do you think we take out a year, Rick? Probably, that are on the streets, probably a dozen? We focus on really the bad ones, but technically, yeah, we'll take out the trees, but the sidewalks are your responsibility. So even if the tree causes it, that's your responsibility.
Which would mean I could take the tree down
cannot
if
take the
I'm
tree down. No, you can
responsible
cut-
for the sidewalk.
You can't take the tree down. That's a city tree. That's not your tree.
And that's
Okay.
where it gets sticky. Who owns the tree?
I
Right.
wouldn't repair the sidewalk.
The trees from sidewalk to your house, that's your property, that's your tree. You can do anything you want those, but trees that are in that little tree, whatever they call it, that lawn, that is city, that's city.
On the avenue.
on
So
the-
if I come off the avenue and there's trees on any of the sidewalks that
That's-
are below the avenue or above, whoever owns that house can take it down without any permission.
The trees from, you have the street, you have the small lawn that, where the trees are, there the city trees are, then you have the sidewalk, and then you have yards. The yards, you can do anything you want in your own yard.
Oh, yeah, I'm always responsible,
Right.
but
But the
this
trees,
right here says we're responsible for the sidewalks.
You are.
So
you always have been. That's the property owner's responsibility. Any abutting sidewalk is the property owner's responsibility. When someone trips and falls, guess what? They sue the property owner. They may also try to sue the city, but the property owner, Alex would tell you, he's dealt with a lot of slip and fall cases. The property owner gets sued. It's your responsibility. The curb is, the city takes care of the curbs. Streets and curbs are our responsibility. But we try to repair them when we can, but there are so many curbs. Generally, that's our responsibility.
It's called a road verge.
What's that?
Called a road verge.
Right.
The little strip is called a road verge, not a tree
Oh,
spot.
that's what it's called?
That's
Road
according to
verge?
Wikipedia over here.
Okay. That's
but
a-
that only is for the avenue. That is for 6th Avenue.
No, it's for any property in the city, not just the avenue, any street. This is,
I know, but if the tree, let's say I live on 4th Street and I have a tree that someone in the city planted, I'm just throwing out something random. I can take it down without permission because technically I'm responsible for that sidewalk.
no, you cannot take down the tree. That's not, the sidewalk is your responsibility. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to take any trees that are in that little verge.
Well, how do you track what are, quote, city planted trees
Well, some of them, the
versus?
city did plant and some are planted by residents,
But once they're planted, they're city trees?
pretty much.
What if the thing is buckling because of all the roots?
What's that?
What if the sidewalks are buckling because of all the roots?
I mean, we have one right here on 3rd that I don't know how many times I've ate the pavement and it's because of a city tree on the corner. And it's been like that. I mean, I've born and raised on 3rd Street. It's been like that my whole life. And we changed the ordinance and then now it's my responsibility
We
to,
didn't change the ordinance. It's always been a responsibility. The ordinance stays the same. The one that was adopted in 1974 makes it your responsibility to maintain your sidewalk.
Are you tripping because the roots punched up the sidewalk?
oh, the tree is
Yeah.
growing in past the curb, almost in the street.
I know the tree you speak of.
And I'd be pissed if city told me I had to fix that.
Mhm.
And then if that's the case, and I'm taking down that tree without permission.
That's an old cottonwood, isn't it?
We cut down cottonwood down last year down there. And, was it
I mean,
two-
the trunk, the base, everything, I mean, it's still
Yeah.
up. But it still ripped the concrete to pieces. Yeah, I mean, you can't even park. Like if I was to pull up, you can't because the tree is at least a foot or out in the middle of the street, like.
we've talked about taking that trunk down. I thought we were gonna work on that this year, but it needs to be removed. The tree was dangerous. We had to cut it
Oh,
down.
without a doubt, but the question would be who's,
We should take that stump out. We should do that. I think we've been waiting to do a bunch of them, when you had some time, so.
but now the concrete is
Oh, it's 4 foot
completely
up.
jacked up
crazy.
and
Yep.
by that tree.
I know that's a property owner's responsibility. I know that tree did it, but you could be also trees on their property. They're doing that as well. You know, you don't know. But it's pretty obvious it's that tree, but that's still a responsibility on the ordinance. It always has been. You are responsible for maintaining any sidewalk that abuts your property, regardless of what causes it to be damaged. So hopefully, if there's money in the budget next year to do a program, we can help, split that cost with the property owners. That's what's been done in the past. So maybe we should focus on those properties that are affected by street trees first. Maybe that's something we give priority to. That's something we can talk about when we decide how we want to use the program.
Jess, I would suggest at the next meeting that you make a specific recommendation for a change to the ordinance, if that's what you'd like to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is first reading. Any changes can be made, we just have to do a second first reading.
Okay.
And we have a whole month to discuss this and change it.
I have a question about trees while you're talking about it. So Rick just said that how many you take down a year? You take 12 down?
Is it-
Okay. So do we replace those then?
It all depends. On the avenue, we do, when we get a grant from the conservation, Campbell County Conservation Urban Forestry Grant every year. And how many is that? How many we get? About 12 trees? How many? 10 or 12 trees from that grant, Jared? And so generally, those trees we replace, we'll replace on the avenue and other areas that are of high visibility and for visitors and our residents. We don't generally put trees in residential neighborhoods. We encourage
Why?
instead that people put them in their yards. The new trend in most urban areas is to encourage people to put those trees in their yard rather than on that little verge.
Can
because
we
of-
get, can we plant trees along sidewalks that aren't going to be humongous in like 10
Well,
years?
that's what
Like-
we're doing now. So a lot of these trees were planted, the wrong trees to be planted. And so they're either too big for urban forestry or they're weak, like these pear trees. They should
No
never be
pear
planted.
trees. Okay. No
So-
Bradford pears.
So we're working with our conservation officer to get the right trees. And also you have to you got wires. So some trees you don't want to grow high into the wire. So the trees we're putting in are the appropriate trees.
I'm in Bellevue walking my daughter's dog all the time. And they took out a lot of trees on one block and it is such an enormous difference. It is sweltering,
Mhm.
like without just a couple of those trees. And I don't think it ever struck me how important that is and how disgusting it is to walk around with trees, on
Yeah.
a long summer. So we should keep it in mind.
Those cottonwoods definitely shouldn't have been parked.
Yeah, not
planted
not
where
giant,
they were.
but whatever
Yeah.
would be manageable and okay and still provide shade.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. If you speak, you have to go there because no one can hear you. You need to go to the microphone.
Yeah,
but
it's
go to the
current
microphone.
legislation.
Go to the microphone. They can't hear you at home unless
You
you go
have
to the
to-
microphone.
We have like a gorgeous sidewalk in front of our place on the avenue, and it was like the most beautiful thing, except for the one you had in front of your house, that broom swept one they took out to put that beautiful one in. Remember that? Do you remember this? Well, the sanitation department, the lines for it are this deep, and it's the whole first of the street side half. Sanitation came in and tore blocks out. And they replaced them. And at the time, they looked okay. They weren't the pretty concrete, but they were okay. But over time, every one of them has sunk about that much, right? To where, if that keeps going, they're going to be a trip hazard. And I'd be more than happy to fill it with concrete and call it a day. But it's got this foot wide circle for sanitation or water to do with their business. And I can't just fill it. What would be appropriate for there? Because I would love to fix that.
Well, you should reach out. It's probably the water district and not the sanitation district. You should reach out to them and tell them, I had that same thing in front of my house. Same
I
thing
did
happened.
too.
Okay, yeah.
And I
but-
called 'em,
yeah, like
and they
always
came back and
really
repaired it.
nice. We had the nicest. If they just would have done it at the same time, they put in the best concrete in front of our houses, and I was supposed to replace mine at that time. It looked like gravel, and I was willing to do it, but then it was like on the heels. You got yours put in, and I found out mine was getting replaced, but I was responsible for it. So that I know that's not a new ordinance.
Yeah, I would reach out to them. But
Okay,
the
I
problem
will.
is the contractor did not properly compact the
That's
soil.
but it's like in the middle. I don't know if I want to blame them, but they are consistent. It's a consistent sinking on all of their on all of their patches.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yep. Okay, first reading.
Again, this is a first reading, but is there any other comments regarding it? All right, so we'll have a month to go over this and bring up changes or considerations or whatever. Next on the agenda will be Order Resolution 2023, number 26 Romeo. Ms. Klein, please.
An order resolution accepting the reappointment of Marcus Carey, Daryl Cummins, Robert Sanders, Tom Quirk, Bryce Rhodes, and Jack Westwood, and the appointment of James Dady as members of the Northern Kentucky Regional Ethics Authority Enforcement Committee for a 2-year term commencing February 1st, 2023 and expiring 31st, 2025.
Because we joined the Northern Kentucky Ethics Commission or Ethics Authority Enforcement Committee, we have to approve the various members that serve on that committee. So that's what this resolution's on the agenda tonight.
Any questions or comments regarding 2023, number 26 Romeo?
I move to accept 2023.
I have a question.
Pat?
So
Ladies
where
first.
do they get these people? Do they volunteer or who?
They're part of the
vets?
regional, it's part of the regional
Right.
code.
So the mayor now is a member of an overall committee an overseeing committee, and they're the various mayors in the cities that participate, and they select these individuals.
Okay.
Jack Westwood's a former state senator. Jim Dady is an attorney that works for us. Robert Sanders is an attorney. Bryce Rhodes is an attorney that does municipal law. So they're all Marcus Carey's an attorney too. I don't know Daryl Cummins or Tom Quirk, but all pretty qualified individuals.
Thanks.
Would anybody like entertain a motion to approve?
I make that motion, sir, for
thought you might.
2023, 26R.
Thought you might. Motion's been made to approve of 2023, number 26 Romeo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by member Neiman. Roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Member Levens,
Aye.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary,
Aye.
Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly,
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next on the docket is Order to Resolution 2023, number 27 Romeo. Ms. Klein, please.
an order resolution designating a portion of Green Devil Lane from what used to be its intersection with 4th Avenue to its existing intersection with 5th Avenue as a pedestrian-only thoroughfare after Dayton Independent Schools completes its construction of its new athletic facility at this location.
So this is, as she just read, is part of the construction and plan for the new athletic facility. Superintendent Jay Brewer was kind enough at my request to come here tonight to make a brief presentation, and he's done a little PowerPoint to share with you some images and to show you more about where this would be. So let me go over to the computer, and Jay, if you would, come to the podium.
My favorite children's book is The Lorax, which is a book about trees. One of my favorite quotes is, it's not about what it is, it's about what it becomes. So I think our project's a little bit about that as well. So I want to thank everybody just for the wonderful support you continue to give our school district. Look around the table, and Jeff's down there still coaching teachers up for us, and Joe's the voice of the Friday night Green Devils up there, and then I got a special treat for the mayor here, and Jessica's over there. I don't know, you're corralling cats and kids for us all day long, and just doing a fantastic job working with us there. So again, thanks to everyone for the continued collaboration with the schools of Dayton. We grow together. So I
And
do have a
congratulations on an upcoming retirement.
yes, a little bit of retirement. Thank you. So I've hit the magic numbers in the retirement system. So
Done
I'll have
good.
32 years of service and 50. I'll be 56. So is Mr. Volter will tell you it's time to go to another circus or something else. So it's hard to believe that 12 years ago, a young kid from Fort Thomas was an elementary principal, came in and somehow convinced the school board to take a chance on him and be superintendent of Dayton. And those first couple years were quite a wild ride. Not quite what I was promised there, Jeff, was it?
Interesting.
It was interesting. Yeah, we grew a lot. We grew a lot. So, but yes, the announcement has been official to our board to allow them to get everything in line to make a smooth transition to the next superintendent and hire early. So we're hoping to have someone onboarded by January or February so that we can really make that transition most effective for our kiddos. So those of you not familiar how public school systems work, there are 5 board members that are elected by the public, and those 5 board members make the final decision. There is a screening committee that reviews applications and forwards on applications to the board, but the final decision rests upon the Board of Education. So, yeah,
Thanks for your service, Jay.
Exciting.
I've really believe Dayton has been very like Tony Perez. Dayton has been
Big Tony.
very, very good to me and for me. I've really enjoyed my time here. The people have been fantastic to work with, and I've learned and grown along the way. So I feel I come out a little bit better for having been a Dayton Green Devil. So
Well,
Yeah.
it's always home to you, buddy. You're always welcome.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. You know, we got a little theme music going too. So
There you go.
that's good.
The
So-
walk-up music for
Walk
Tony.
up music. There we go. There we go. Before we get into Project One, Mayor Baker was our Inspire Speaker number 5 for the Dayton Green Devils. So we started an Inspire Speaker series. Starts on Monday morning, 8:30. Speakers come in and gets our kids focused for the school week. So we posterize.
Oh, no.
Oh yes, you look good.
I know.
Why
tell you
not
what.
us was part of his message. Get involved. And Who Dayton was one of his mantras that he talked about with the kids doing that. And you can do anything you set your mind to were some of the themes that he pulled out during his 20-minute Inspire speech, telling his story and focusing our kids. And then we have set in motion, I'm not sure how far in motion we have set, but to try to do some collaborative meetings with our students and with the mayor and other city officials to get them involved. I'm sad to see that you haven't moved on their 2 biggest requests, which were, I think, a Walmart and a Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't made a motion on that yet.
We haven't made any moves on that yet. So one for the hall, one for the office.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
There you go.
You're great. Thank you.
Oh,
man.
yeah. So those will go up in the hallways to remind everybody. Speaker number 6 is on Monday. State Representative Rachel Roberts is going to come in and share her stories to inspire our kids. So
I've spoken in front of many, many, many folks before, but it's never more intimidating than when you speak in front of a bunch of teenagers.
yeah,
And they're like, "What kind of shoes do you wear?" I'm like, I don't know, Nikes. Well, what kind of Nikes? And I'm like, I don't know, they're Nikes. But
yeah.
no, it was such an honor to do that, and I thank you for the honor.
Yep. Our pleasure. Our pleasure. So Project One, it's just not about putting a field down there. We're really trying to do something special for the community of Dayton. So we're really trying to think of all different angles to really make this one of the centerpieces, if not the centerpiece of our school and community. So we're trying to stay in touch. I talked to Jay way too much about things, but I guess you can't over communicate. And then we try to keep in touch with the city and the fire. So just making sure we're all on the same page here. So probably the point that we're really looking at this evening is the, go ahead and go one slide right there, is on your left there would be Gilliland Park. And you see that it's the recommendation of our architect in the school safety measures for both traffic and student safety to go ahead and close Green Devil Lane to permit a safer overall school campus there. We do push out a little bit. If you look at the road coming down Green Devil, to get a little buffer onto the end zone, we're pushing out there into Green Devil Lane already. So for folks who have been encouraging me to somehow find a way to put a track around there, my answer is it ain't gonna fit. I was a track coach for 8 years at Ludlow, so I'm pretty familiar with track and field. I ran. Tracks are pretty big. So track, for those of you who are wondering, would pretty much take out Clay Street. Well, it would take out Clay Street. It would also take out 3rd Street, which would then leave all kinds of challenges on how to get to the park and how to get to the high school. So putting a track in there, and then even trying to get anything that resembles a track is tough. You see the little black strip that's kind of in the middle, right in front of the bleachers. That would be a 3-lane straightaway for the kids to use for track practice, which would be to great use. You can do your 100-meter dash, your 100 hurdles. You can do your warm-ups, your cool downs, all kinds of other things. And in particular, we get them off the street. As Jessica will tell you, our track team practices in her street. They do the best that they can, but it's not ideal by any measure. So we'd be able to get our kids in there. This is a better view of the full project there and what we're talking about with Green Devil Drive. Now we're about 50% finished with the details of that. So what you see there on Green Devil is what they're telling me is a full, I got to get this right, it's a turnaround, not a roundabout. Because a roundabout would have exits off of it, and a turnaround is you would just go down there. It would not be used a whole lot. We've got a head start down there. If you're down there anytime in the afternoons, it can get quite trafficky with cars and different things like that. We also have kids coming up from the high school, kids going down to elementary. So really trying to limit traffic down there and keep our kids safe is part of the objective there. And then also trying to limit vehicles during sporting events from driving through those areas and being distractive or disruptive to that space. So the recommendation at this time would be to put the turnaround, and you can see it's pretty far down there. You can see the corner of Lincoln. So it's a little bit past there. Think right across from the softball field, right about where the dugouts are. That area, as soon as you kind of levels out, there's about 65 feet to 70 feet of space down there that you would do a turnabout. Then you would have a sidewalk area going down there. You can see the architects, they're playing around a little bit, and I'll come back one more time. Like they're looking at the dumpster. If you go up one more slide, Jay, they've moved the dumpster up a little bit. See how they played with the parking spots a little bit. They're trying to figure out, we've got a dumpster we've got to deal with over there. And we're going to try to hide that as best we can in one of those enclosed, I don't know, Ben, you got all the fancy words tonight with the curb trees and things. What do you call those things that you hide dumpsters in? He's going to Google that. So we'll put a nice little thing around there as you come down Green Devil, but there's still going to be about 12 or 13 spaces, trying to be a good neighbor to the church, because we know they use those spots on Sunday as well. And then you can see the parking lot. Used to be the old API parking lot. I think it has 36 spaces in there. So we've already grabbed that. And if you've been down by school lately, that's been a tremendous benefit to the area. It's almost 100% full with our staff members, which has really helped to clear off those parking for the homeowners that have always been very patient down there on Fifth Avenue, living in front of a school. So we'll continue to go through the slides, and then we'll take questions here at the end. How's that sound? So then we can always go back to them with your questions. So I think these are all just the pretty stuff coming next. Go ahead and go to the next one. Well, that would be a closer look at the turnaround down there on Green Devil. This would be the main entrance down there at the bottom of Green Devil. We're trying to play off. Now, keep in mind, this is the dream. This is like the top version. When we put it out to bid in January, you never know what the money's going to come back as. But we're trying to really make it blend in with the bricking of the high school, which has a very similar theme to Lincoln and also has a similar theme to St. Bernard's, kind of that orangish tint. So really trying to get that whole feel of that area. We're trying to go with a high-end fencing there, not chain link fence or anything like that. And then you can see the brick wall that we're going to put around there. We're not putting in like gray, gravelly, whatever stuff. We're trying to get the brick that'll really look nice. Again, knowing that this is a field that's going to be right in the middle of our community. Some school systems, you'll find that their fields are behind the school, somewhere else where no one's really going to see it. Well, that's totally the opposite of what this project's going to do. It's going to be one of the most visible spots in the entire city. So we want to make sure that it's a 5-star look for the community and for our kids. So that would be the main opening coming down Green Devil. That would give fire and police access through that gate, which really is a challenge right now up at Davis Field. So we'd be able to get out onto the plaza and get out onto the field. This would be the back area. This is like a serpentine wall. Visualize that. That would be artificial turf. The back of the field, those steps would lead up to the Lincoln playground. So this way, Mayor Baker can get his hot dog and a soda and then go sit on the serpentine wall before he goes out and cheers on the Green Devils. Gives us that space. It would also be multi-purpose for outdoor classrooms to be able to go outside and set kids on there and do some different things that way. So we're trying to maximize that space as well. If you go back to the beginning, Jay, now that you've seen this, keep right there. Oh, yeah, perfect. Right there. You can kind of see the 3 green areas at the bottom of your screen. There's 3 flights of steps going down off the back of the playground. So that would be that plaza area that you're looking at there. And so this is you're going up Clay Street. This would be the really the cherry on the top piece, which we're going to call a field house because it's a field house. Not essential to the project. We're hoping we can put it in there because it really would be useful for our student athletes to use year round. We're not putting any specific locker room in that area intentionally because we want it to be inclusive to all teams. We find that if we put a particular sports team locker room right next to it, that team will tend to dominate that space and it may not be as inclusive and inviting to others. For example, if we were to obviously put the football team's locker room in there, the softball team might not feel like they're welcomed up there because the football team may consume that whole space. So we're going to keep the locker rooms now where they currently are. So this would be a field house and a fitness center. So if you go back to the other slides, keep going, right? Keep going, keep right there. Right there. That's perfect. The first one. That's fine. We'll go one more up. So you can see there to your right is the proposed field house, and next to it is the proposed fitness center. So it's all one building. So the difference of the field house and a fitness center, field house is just a big open space where kids can run, throw, batting cages, those types of things. Then the fitness center would be where you'd put your exercise equipment. So we'd be able to use this for high school physical education classes during the day, elementary PE classes as well. And then really year-round for our student athletes to use and get physically fit. We know that childhood obesity is a crisis in our nation, and adding this piece would definitely encourage our kids and give them a place to get stronger. All right. So that would be going, go back to the picture going up Clay Street. Go. You're fast. Like bam, bam. One more. Back to. All right, right there. So you see another gate similar to the main gate. So that would be another gate. It's a double gate. So again, you could probably get that ambulance through it on that side. That would probably be where we're going to exit and entrance. The opposing teams put their buses right there on Clay Street for easy onboarding. You can see that we are incorporating the green lighting, which is kind of our signature thing for the campus, really trying to make sure that that's well lit. You do see the retaining wall declining or inclining as you go down the street there. Yes, kids will be able to jump the rail. We could build it much higher, but they're still going to jump the rail. Just as you're going to say, yeah. There's not a rail or a fence unless we become really looking like a prison that they're not going to be able to get over. So our thought is we put a whole lot of cameras. We've got a great police force that can identify kids pretty quickly. And once it becomes known that if you're running around down there on the field, eventually the long arm of the law will catch up to you. So that's the great thing about camera systems and things like that. That really is the best prevention, is word of mouth that, hey, don't go out on the field because they're going to find you the next day. And then the final picture, in both of the corners, there will be, again, additional exits and opportunities for, this would be down right across from the Board of Education. So if when the football team's coming out of the locker room, they would use this to go onto the field. It also gives, there's another entrance just like this exit over by the park. So if there was a event that we needed to move kids or people from the park on into Davis or whatever field we're calling it, I'm going to continue to call it Davis Field until they decide to name it something else, because in my mind, it's O.W. Davis Field until named otherwise. But we would have those entrances on the corners down there on 3rd Street. And I think that's the last slide. So if you want to go back up to
When's this expected to be completed?
That's a great question. Our timeline right now is to start finalizing some of the details and finalize the details in December with the board and put it out to bid in January. It's a 3-week bidding process. And then they're telling us it would be a 12-month build.
That's fast.
Yeah.
So you can do the calendar on that.
2025.
Could be. Now, keep in mind, this is all, and this is where, thank you for not taking your phones out and taking pictures, because we haven't put this out in front of our kids yet and all that. Yeah,
This is on YouTube, bud.
It's on YouTube.
Sorry.
Okay.
The meeting is.
The meeting is on. Is this on YouTube?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So it's out there. One of the things we've been trying not to do, our kids don't watch city council meeting, but
What?
they might be. One of the things we're trying to do all along is prevent promising something to our kids and then pulling it back.
Sure.
Because once kids see it, then they feel like, well, that has to be coming. Well, there's this process where you have to put a design together and you have to go through steps like this and make it somewhat public so that you can then get a bid on it and figure out if you got enough money to do that. We believe we've got enough money to absolutely do the field and the bleachers and the concession. It would be the field house and the fitness center that would kind of be the add-on piece that we're hoping we can fit in there as well.
Now, do you have a buyer for the current football field?
We have not even begun to entertain anything up there. I don't know if anybody, Jeff was probably on the board 8 or 9 years ago. We talked to SD1. It was more curiosity gathering, and they're always interested in water retention. We're not going to make big money off of that, but that would be something that really, before we make that commitment, I think that would be another piece that we would work collaboratively with the city to figure out what does the city envision up there. Before we go and sell it off to somebody, and the city said, well, why didn't we at least think about this? So, I think we will continue to be collaborative with that. But at this point, we've got nothing.
So
It's
it's
about,
not where you need the money, like we need to.
no,
sell
we
that
don't need the money.
Okay.
Well, you never know. It could be that, but I don't think we're going to make a whole lot of money off the selling of that. It's 4 acres. It's challenged with flooding issues. Whoever buys it's could be responsible, or we would have to be responsible for the demolition, which we found out is very expensive. So I don't know if we're going to get, a significant amount of money. We also have our daycare up there and our bus lot up there. So there's a lot of little pieces that we would have to figure out. But again, that would be something collaboratively we'd try to do for the best of the city. But great question. Yeah.
I have a question. Hi.
Oh, there you
Okay.
go. I was like, I hear the voice. I'm like,
I have a question.
yes, Pat.
So project one. So this is all kind of a sports complex. You're going to get a new football field,
We're going
fitness
to call it a
center,
new field because it is soccer as well.
and soccer.
Soccer. Yep.
Okay. Sports complex. Does it have a pool? Is there a pool
No
anywhere
pool.
in here? No pool. Okay.
No pool.
Um,
Would love to do a pool, but yeah.
but that
Sometimes the money tree gets really short on that too. So
the
yeah.
high school doesn't have a pool.
Nope. No swimming
Nobody has a
pool.
pool.
No
Okay.
one has a pool. I think there's
Um,
only, just for FYI, there's only one high school in Northern Kentucky, to my knowledge, that has their own pool, and that is Scott High School.
Okay.
So that's how rare a swimming pool would be.
You were talking about the playground. It has fake grass.
Yeah, if you want to go back to just those tiered areas,
Okay. Is that where
Because-
the kids play?
that will be, it's not going to be a whole, visualize the serpentine wall over Cincinnati.
Mhm.
Kind of has the bigger steps and it has the steps that run down into it. It's going to be on that same model. So instead of putting concrete, and it could evolve back to concrete. Right now, the architect says putting a nice layer of just grass there for the kids to sit on, play on. They're not going to do a whole lot of running around per se, but give them a little softer spot to hang out in would be the vision right now.
And it's fake.
It's fake. The
Why-
reason that we wouldn't put real is it wouldn't last. And then cutting that.
Because of being walked on
Yeah.
constantly, or
Yeah, walked on,
Okay.
rained on, mud on, and then Rick would have a heck of a time getting his lawnmower up there. I mean, to figure it out. So, I mean, just maintaining that would be, I think, a challenge.
And then you talked about the track, and I've heard people on Facebook talking about no track, no track. So you have places to practice, but you can't compete here. Is that what's
That-
what is lacking with the track situation?
Okay, so go back to,
Space.
yes.
Unless
Keep
you
going up to the,
Close Clay Street and give them Green Devil Lane, and then
go down one.
maybe it's parts of the apartment.
Perfect right there.
There ain't no space.
So Beth, you see the black line in the middle there?
I mean, like what they do. Like another school would come and they would have like a competition or a track meet. Like you can't do that here.
Correct.
You have to always have to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
we-
point. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
we've hosted
Yeah.
the last 2 years. Jesse Herbst, we've got a kind of crazy football track coach, and he decided to have what he calls a street meet.
Oh, okay.
So they run around the block there, and we've had 7, 8, 9 teams for that. Kind of innovative. The distances are a little bit off, and the events are a little bit off, but it's kind of a novelty meet that he hosts. But right here, you see 3 lanes of a track in the front of the stadium. Again, if you were to put the curves onto that, you're going in both Clay Street and into Gilliland Park.
Yep.
And then on the other side, most tracks are going to have 8 lanes. So you'd have to find 5 more on this side of the field and 8 more on that side of the field, which is going to push you well into
Yeah.
3rd Street, which then creates another
Got it.
challenge, which some people said, well, just build a huge road behind the school into the flood wall. And you guys know what it is to try to do anything
No.
into the flood wall.
Yep.
Probably is not going to be ideal there as well. But
Okay.
great question.
All right,
The track
thanks.
thing has been something that everybody's like, we've had such great history here in Dayton. Can't we get a track? And I'm like, we have flipped this thing every which way we could. It just doesn't fit.
But there is something special about the street meet. Like,
Yeah.
it's the weirdest thing in the world, but
They love
they
it.
do love it. Like,
They love
it is.
Yeah.
That's like for cross country when they do behind.
Yep.
We did behind the flow wall when I was in
Yep.
school.
Yep. The great thing
It's-
about
it's
this.
just something about it. I don't know.
Yep.
But they love it. It works.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Yeah, the great thing about this for practice, and Jessica will probably be the best voice of that, it gets the kids off the street for practice because they'll be able to go across the street, be in this contained area, have restrooms, do their warm ups, cool down. And for a lot of them, do almost all of their workout within that space. The long distance runners are going to go out and get on the roads a little bit like they always do. But we would be able to contain them. It's going to be the artificial turf so that softball would be able to use it on not for games, but for practices. Right now, when it rains, we've got to cancel practice or they go into the gym. With these new surfaces, as soon as the rain's done, you can get out there. And actually, if it's a light rain, you can get out there. As Rick will tell you, any bit of rain pretty much cancels softball and baseball. So we'd be able to use these spots to rotate softball, baseball, and then it is a full-size soccer. Those of you who are following the soccer rage in America right now, fields such as this are premium. So we see an opportunity to be able to rent that out to tournaments. Newport High School does that. Fort Thomas does that, which I think would really benefit the city, because what happens when you get soccer tournaments, my kids all played soccer, is you get about 8 or 9 games, hour after hour after hour, and about 15 kids on each team. So you're getting about 30 parents coming to an event, and you're recharging another 30 and another 30 and another 30 and another 30. And that traffic up and down the avenue, I think, would help our businesses.
Yeah.
So,
Now, will the black space right there, will that be the rubber?
yes, that would be the rubberized surface. It would also be a space
Okay.
for our cheerleaders.
I'm just saying,
yep.
if anyone who has ran track or cross country,
Yep.
there's nothing like doing hurdles and eating the concrete right there on
Yeah.
Clay Street.
Yeah, so we'd be able to practice the
First
hurdles,
times.
which would be great. Yep, yep. Gives us a space to put our cheerleaders. Right now, if you've been to a game lately, we got to put them over by the scoreboard. It's become very dangerous on the sidelines.
Yeah.
I love the street meet.
I love the street meet too. So we're going to work on continuing. The kids would still be able to do the street meet.
It's like
Yeah.
the Grand Prix or the Formula One of
It is like that. Yes, it's gritty.
yes, it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Different.
it's cool.
Anybody
So
can run in circles in Dayton. We take over.
yeah, so this would enable us to continue the street meet because they could just continue down Green Devil through the roundabout. So
Jay, can you pull up a picture that shows Lincoln and the field both?
that one right there,
Yes.
perfect.
So, saying you're gonna leave about 12 or 13 parking space.
Yeah, somewhere around there, which is what we have. Actually, it's more than what we have right now. City's very, very, very kind and to our teachers on some creative parking that occurs over there down around the softball area in unmarked spots. So, yes, there'd still be
That'll be up towards the front of Lincoln.
up towards the front of Lincoln, almost run into, you see where they've got this little toy truck down there at the bottom of Lincoln where the preschool is. So the spaces pretty much run to the bottom of that.
Now, that area that you're asking us to turn into a pedestrian walkway would basically be from the fence line at Gilwin Park across to where the green area is on this particular mock-up, correct?
Correct. So think
Yeah, from the turnaround down to Third.
down to Third where that intersection is there. Yes,
How
where the
wide
mark.
is that? Would we still be able to get emergency vehicles down there as needed?
Would you still be able to get an emergency vehicle down Green Devil and then through the walkabout? And
Yes.
not sure why, because and this may be a Chris thing. I mean, because you simply go down Clay Street and then across Third.
Okay.
Is
Is that?
I guess if he's off-roading, I mean, we're not going to put any real barriers there besides a curb and things like that. But again, I'm trying to figure out, I guess if something were to happen on Clay Street that they couldn't get through, I'm sure they could fit in there because it's going to be a larger sidewalk kind of an area.
Would that pedestrian area between Third and your turnaround, is that going to be open 24/7 to the public?
Yes.
So it won't be behind fencing or anything like that?
No, there'll be an open space there. There'll be a fence that keeps the field separate from that walking area. So I would always be open to the community.
It's still a public way. We're not
Yep.
vacating the street. It's still our street, and we're
Yeah.
just letting them make it a pedestrian only.
Take it all.
On our order resolution, it says it's between 4th and 5th. So is it actually between 4th and 3rd?
Well, Fourth isn't there anymore. Fourth used to go. Used to be Fourth right here.
Correct, but aren't we blocking where the ball field is, or the field, which,
You're going down the third.
yeah, we're going
Correct.
down the 3rd.
Well, it'd be between fourth and
Right.
third.
Used to go to Third.
She's
But
right.
our ordinance says that we're vacating the, 4th and 5th.
That should be Third.
Great catch.
That would have been bad.
That's why we're a team. So I tell my folks. That's why we work together to make sure.
For the record, it's supposed to be between fourth and third. Good catch, Ms. Kelly.
And you've gained parking because of the API going away. You've gained all that parking on the bottom right, the southeast.
Correct. There are 36 spots over there. And then we'll maintain those. And then within this bid across the street from Third Street, we now own those 3 lots of grass. So you have the parking lot next to the school, and then there's 3 big grass lots
Mhm.
that, depending on the money, we could expand that high school parking lot for additional parking.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the impact on during an event, the impact on the people that live down there.
Well, right now we're down to 3 homes that would be right next to the Board of Education.
Would you, I know this is off topic of, well, let me stay on topic. The board has approved this design, the school board has.
We've moved forward on this design, but it's not the final approval
Okay, and you're advertising for construction bids coming up.
in January.
And I imagine that it'll come back to the board and they'll have to approve the money, basically, taking the
Correct.
bond. This resolution says that designated as a pedestrian-only thoroughfare after construction of the Dayton Independent Schools' new athletic facility. So if something comes up and it doesn't get approved by the school board, or this gets delayed longer, us taking this action tonight doesn't automatically change it into a pedestrian only. It will stay a vehicular street until the construction.
Yeah, that's why I wrote it that way. Yeah, so it
Okay.
has to be part of this construction of the new.
Because there's a possibility the bids come back and we've done a great job of clearing out some property and setting it up for, this has been a vision. Jack Moreland, former superintendent that brought the new high school down here in the 80s. He was down here last week and he said that was always his vision, was this one campus concept. 'Cause it just makes sense as far as use of facilities and use of space. So our hopes would be we can make this happen financially. Otherwise, Joe Neary's going to write this big check, and then we're going to have to name it after Joe, and then people are
As
going
that
to.
check bounces
No.
down the street.
Yeah.
And we'll probably want to consider turning Fifth Street, that block of Fifth Street, to a one-way east, just to make it easier on everybody down there. Is there a cost estimate? Well, we don't have that authority on this. But that pedestrian walkway from that turnaround down to the entrance of Gill Lynn will be open 24/7. So it
Correct.
should
Now, the
not-
only time, and this is what we've got to think about a little bit, the beauty of where we're going to be playing and the beast of where we're going to be playing is people are going to be able to stand right, much like Davis Field. You're familiar with the alley behind there, and some of our spirited Green Devil fans like to hang out there and assist the coach from time to time with timely advice on what plays he should be calling and who he should be putting in. But we've had to put the windscreen up, and then the city's been great about policing that off and saying you can't really stand in that alley and harass everybody. Why don't you give us your $5 and come into the stadium? So, the challenge of this is we're going to have some folks that are going to want to save $5 and hang out there in those areas. And again, we're just going to have to monitor the severity of that situation. Hopefully we wouldn't have to close that off because it's close. You see, they're hanging right there. I think we could collaboratively work those 5 or 6 nights a year, together. If it becomes an issue where we've got people unruly hanging there, we'll be able to work with the city on that. Yeah.
So Jay, I'm assuming, are you not going to have a drop off on Green Devil Lane? Those people would not drop off there and go through that turnabout and come back up.
No. Guest, school buses, things like that, we would use the Clay Street side. Really, this is to facilitate, deliveries. I don't anticipate a whole lot of traffic down there. We're really going to discourage folks from going down Green Devil into those spaces. It also really, the main purpose is it has to be for Chris's fancy trucks and ambulances. He's got to find a way out there. So it provides that flow down into that space. But on a regular school day basis, we really don't want a lot of people down in that area. Again, try to keep the campus as safe as it can be.
So I think Joe is right, though. We are probably going to have to consider making Fifth either one-way east or a tight two-way, because it's going to be, if we got that diagonal parking, two-way is going to be tight, but you'll have traffic coming down that way. They have to go somewhere. So they're going to have to go across Fifth Street. So in other words, from Barry Avenue, you'll still have people coming by the church.
Correct.
Those cars have to travel east.
Yeah. And if our morning drop-offs right now, we do close that down. So it is one way heading, east during drop-off.
It's heading
Or heading west. I'm sorry.
It's
East,
west right
it's heading
now.
towards, that's heading west.
Yeah.
And the reason it heads west is, and this is where, trust me, this thing gets complicated. You want kids being dropped off onto the sidewalk going into the school. Because if you have kids going east, they're getting out of the car and then crossing in front of the car at drop off in the morning. So it's ideal to have them flowing towards the church. Because then they get out of the car onto the sidewalk and are ready to go.
But I can see people coming east. I mean, if it's two-way, if we're going to keep it two-way.
Well, in the morning, we don't have any issues up. If you want to come up in the morning, we don't have any issues in drop off. No one comes the other way now. They've learned.
I know. I dropped off my grandson 2 mornings in a row here.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking ahead though, but they still have the option to go down Green Devil Lane right now.
Correct.
They're not going to have that option.
Well, you can
So-
still go down there, but it's not going to be for dropping off and picking up. It's going to be
Right,
for
but what
parking
I'm
of a
saying
few
is
people.
You're going to have people come that way. So they're going to
Where-
have
I'm with you. Where would you
to go across Fifth Street.
at the high school?
So,
Because I leave my house, then
Hold
turn
on,
on
let me-
Berry, go down Green
I'm
Devil.
confused.
okay. So where you have people come down Green Devil Lane,
Correct.
you're thinking you're no longer going to have people come that way.
No, because it's,
I'm
that will
telling
not
you-
be.
I'm telling you, you're going to have people come that way.
Early on, we will. The cows will
Yeah.
follow the path that they've
You're gonna have
followed for 50 years to the barn. We know that.
So
Or
how
you'll
would
have
we get
people
them
that
there?
may not be familiar with the area that'll come that way.
Correct. You are right, which we
So-
have on occasion, and all school districts do have. Correct.
So
we,
I'm just,
we will have to deal with an occasional person going down there and coming back up that way.
and if we keep it two-way, then that's fine.
And I think
It's
that
tight.
would be open for discussion. I'm not saying I'm against a one way by any means. I think it simplifies things for our school for sure. But
Well,
but it has to be going west.
I think we need to just look at it. And
Yeah.
just see
Yeah.
how tight it is.
It's pretty tight.
Yeah.
It's all that Fifth Street's always been pretty tight up there. Yeah. I'm not opposed to a one way, but again, it needs to be heading towards the church for the students to get out onto the sidewalk.
So how would you drop them off at the high school? So
Clay
I
Street.
would have to come down Clay and then make a left we would still have, what street is that? Is that Third?
Third,
And then make
Go
the
in front
right
of the high
turn
school.
to go to the alley because we don't go behind school traffic.
correct.
We
You go
cut
down
through
Barry
that
Binkley Alley, or you come back through the parking lot and back onto Third Street. Same as it's being done right now. There's no difference, but as far as, except for you're not coming down Green Devil, you're coming across Third.
So I think the key there is the road behind the high school is going to have to be kept clear. Because there are vehicles that park back there.
There shouldn't be.
There are. I'm just telling you.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just saying it's
Well,
gonna-
there won't be, right now, we don't, in the mornings, there aren't any cars that we don't allow. We put a traffic stop there and our
right,
principals are
right.
out.
You stop
And
it.
you see
Right.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, we stop them
Yes.
during the morning, which is the busiest time for that.
But I'm thinking, is it still going to be that way where you're going to ask the people to go behind the administration building through that little alley there? Is that the way you're going to ask
Yes,
them?
yes. Nothing at
Okay.
this point has
Okay.
changed as
All
far
right.
as redirecting people. We have found that if we redirect people, occasionally we will have people that will park back there, or we'll have the inevitable food service delivery at the wrong time, right place, and that's the only place they can unload for the food back there. And then we'd have a backup. So during the drop off in the morning, we don't permit any traffic behind the school. So really the biggest impact for the high school would be right now, currently we have folks that would drop off at the elementary school and turn right to go down to drop off at the high school. And then they drop off and go on their way. They're going to have to reverse their pattern of thought. Drop off at the high school first, come back up Clay, turn right, drop off at the elementary, or drop everybody off at 5th Street. And the high school kids can walk all the way. I put that in air quotes, all the way down Green Devil to get to the high school if traffic becomes an issue. Keep in mind, we're very fortunate to also have Main Street. If Clay Street gets a little bit confused, again, communicating to folks, different traffic patterns is going to be key. But you also have Main Street. If people say that Clay Street gets backed up, folks go 1 block over, go down Main, take a left on Third to go over to the high school. You're out of that Clay Street traffic in the morning. Great questions, though. And then certainly open the 5th Street one way. That's for a parking expert. And there are people such as Rick Lucas, who I have found to be seriously, Rick's really good with street flow and parking. Not to put pressure on you there. They would lose a lot of spots that way. Correct, but in front of their houses, I think. Correct. Yep. Yep. But it would widen the street there. You're correct. And like everything in life, it's a give and take. It widens the street, but then you're going to lose people's parking in front of their house. So it's like, which one is more important? And they would use that. I would say most homeowners are going to have 2 cars, and there wouldn't be enough spaces. Yeah, if you did it that way, but it would widen the street. Yep.
Want to point out to council, the parking, you're going to always get complaints about parking, but for events down at Gill Lynn Park, yeah, this is going to have some impact on available parking, a block's worth on Green Devil Lane, plus the parking lot on the northeast corner there, northwest corner that is now part of this development, which was school district property.
Correct.
But the parking lot that is in front of the high school, the existing parking lot there with the sign in front of it at Third and Green Devil, that's 44 spaces, and that is City of Dayton property, not school district property. So if there are any concerns like mine about the availability of parking for any events down there, we still have that 44 spaces down.
Correct. And we would be looking into this, money's available to extend that parking lot at least into the 2 lots, which would add another 20 spots. You also have to keep in mind, I mean, there used to be housing on 3rd Street, which we'd have a lot of cars out there. So now 3rd Street is pretty much vacant. I think maybe there's 1 car between the 3 houses, 2 cars. One's in a garage, one's sometimes on the street. So there's 3rd Street is now completely open.
Yeah.
Jessica will tell you there's not a whole lot of cars parked there. So that's a great opportunity to park on 3rd Street to walk
And
to the park.
We don't have any issues at Jamestown either. I mean, some kids park in it, but it's not become an issue.
Yep.
And
Yep. And then you'd have the whole, get my west side of Clay going up.
yeah,
Used to have the apartments there. Those would now be available for parking on the street too.
Yeah.
So now our street parking really is freed up because the residents aren't there anymore. What other questions? And Jeff Folter is going to give me a point for how I asked that. So if I say any more questions is different than what other questions. So when I say what other questions, it encourages more. You already checked that. I'm passing.
I love it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. We really are crossing our
I mean,
fingers that we can.
removing API and that, it's beautiful. Like, we got rid of
Yep.
some nasty and
Yep. We really feel like it'll help
Curb
elevate the
appeal
brand for
is-
both the schools and the city. We really feel like it'll be a signature. It'll be just a beautiful place with everything that's going on along the river. I think it just helps throw wood onto that beautiful fire that we're burning here in Dayton to keep things going. So fingers crossed that the bids come back and it all works out. All right.
Any other questions?
That's the one that you close on.
Told you I was paying attention.
Yeah, you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks for all you do. We'll be back one more time. So again, appreciate everything. I know Jay's coming down tomorrow. We're going to continue to meet on some things. Jay's been great to work with. So thank you. And you guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you,
Happy
Jay.
Thanksgiving, bud.
Appreciate it.
Thanks to a great catch by Councilmember Kelly. The heading of Order Resolution Number 27R needs to be changed from 5th Avenue to 3rd Avenue, and Section 1 needs to be changed from 5th Avenue to 3rd Avenue as well. So when you read that, please read it with the corrections.
Thanks to Superintendent Brewer on the fantastic presentation and all the hard work he's done behind that.
Yeah.
You know, it's been years in the making. So we do have an order resolution 2023 number 27 Romeo. Now, Ms. Klein, I know you've already read it once, but would you mind doing it one more time just for?
With
Fine.
correction.
Yeah.
An order resolution designating a portion of Green Devil Lane from what used to be its intersection with 4th Avenue to its existing intersection with 3rd Avenue as a pedestrian-only thoroughfare after Dayton Independent Schools completes its construction of its new athletic facility at this location.
Thank you, Ms. Klein. Do I have a motion to accept order resolution number 2023, number 27 Romeo?
I make the motion.
Member Neiman's made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Member Lovins made the second. Can I have a roll call, please? Do you have any comments, questions? Just a lot of those. All right, so we're going to do a roll call, please, Ms. Klein.
Yes. Member Lovins,
Aye.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary, Member Neiman,
Aye.
Member Kelly.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Next on the docket is order resolution 2023 number 28 Romeo. Ms. Klein, please.
An order resolution of the Dayton City Council adopting a sidewalk maintenance policy in conjunction with adoption of a new sidewalk maintenance ordinance.
As I mentioned before, this goes with the ordinance we talked about. If you want to push this to the next meeting, that would be fine by me.
Yeah, I recommend pushing it till we do the ordinance.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree with,
agree.
I agree with Member Volter.
Do we need a
Member
motion to
Robbins.
table this or just,
Yeah, you can do that if you want.
would anybody like to make a motion to table 2023 number 28 Romeo?
Yeah, I'll move to table 2023 28R.
Member Volters made the motion to table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's all you need, right?
Yeah, you got to vote on it though.
All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Table. Last on the docket is Order 2023 Resolution 29 Romeo. Ms. Klein, please.
An order resolution of the City Council of the City of Dayton, Kentucky, appointing Kylie Schroeder to the Dayton Housing Authority.
We had one of the board members had resigned from the board, so this replaces her with Kelly Schroeder. And I think you're going to need to abstain from voting on this, correct?
Am I gonna what?
Abstain from voting?
Yes.
Okay.
Do I have a motion to accept 2023 number 29 Romeo?
I'll make a motion to accept 2023-29 Romeo.
Thanks for doing it on the pilot, Romeo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by member Neiman. Roll call, please.
Member Kelly,
Aye.
Member Levens, you're abstaining.
Yes.
Member Volter,
Aye.
Member Neary,
Aye.
Member Neiman.
Aye.
Order approved, and I'd like to thank Ms. Schroeder for her volunteerism. It's important. Next on the agenda, we have the Department Director's Monthly Reports. So I completely forgot my wheel tonight. So we're going to go ahead and ladies first with Ms. Cassie Patterson with Code Enforcement.
You have a copy of my report. Grass is kind of slowing down. We're finally wrapping up. I think we've got a grasp on the rental inspection citations. They're kind of coming in slowly. We get a report every month from the PBA on all the transfers. So anything that we see with a mailing address that is not the property, we've been sending out, Angie's been sending out, the rental license application. And if they don't fill that out, we try to get in contact with them, see if it's vacant, what they're doing with it. So a couple of those have been cited. Bill is moving along on inspections. We are getting, let's see, he's got 40% completed. So he's doing.
When did he, I mean, I know when he started, Mr. Burns started, he had a little bit of designing the program, working alongside you and kind of figuring out exactly how y'all wanted to approach it.
Mhm.
When do you think he really got his wheels moving?
I mean, he really kind of took off running from the beginning.
Yeah?
I'd say probably the second week. He was,
He's already at 40%. That's impressive.
Yep.
Good job.
yeah, he
Good
does.
job, Bill.
He does a really good job. We're kind of running into, now we're getting to the bottom of the list. I think he has like Spears next week. So that's a big chunk. He's kind of saved the newer apartment complexes for kind of push them back so he can get more of the individual single units and multifamilies finished before he goes in. He's going to try to do like the apartment, let's say, the apartment complex like in 3 days. So do, on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so that he's not kind of running all over the place. But yeah, it's going really well. We've had a lot of positive comments about it so far. So yeah. Any questions? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Patterson. Good work.
Thanks.
Rick Lucas, what's going on in Public Works this month? I know you're busy.
Yeah, we're busy.
Starting with the Christmas decorations now. And
Yay.
we got the snowflakes up yesterday.
They look good.
We're starting to get some stuff back here cleared out, and Jared's got the lights, and we'll have those back up on the city building probably tomorrow. And other than that, we're plenty busy. And
Leaf pickup pretty much finished?
Please.
Leaf pickup pretty much finished? Leaf pickup?
no, we still got a lot out there. Leaves are falling late this year. Normally, they'd most of them be down by now. But
Right.
that 200 block of 6th Avenue, I mean, you can barely tell the leaves are even off the trees there.
We had a pretty
But-
wet summer. I imagine that's probably the reason why it's late this year.
Yeah, but we'll get it. But other than that, I mean, like I said, we're busy. And
If anybody needs leaf
tomorrow?
pickup, all they got to do is email info at
yeah, I've already-
dateky.com
I
or
think I got
call the
5
city.
pickups for tomorrow.
Yeah, you guys are great at picking up those orders.
But other than that,
Do we get the
Anyway.
snowflakes tomorrow?
they'll be turned on tomorrow and they'll be lit up Wednesday night.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we just do it a day early?
Yeah, they should be lit up. We checked them all and they all work. And tomorrow we're going to come down and move the sleigh out here and set the Christmas tree up. So I guess it's okay to go ahead and just move all this stuff out of the way.
Yes.
Okay. And then we'll start on the monument after we get all that done. That'll be next week.
Sounds good.
But other than that, that's all I have.
Excellent. Have a happy Thanksgiving, Rick, if I don't see you.
What did you order for the black?
Next up, Chris Atkins, Chief Atkins, with your fire department report.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You all have my report. Not much to add to that. Karen did pass away, my administrative assistant, so we had her services back in the middle of the month. Mary Scott, who is a retired Bellevue city clerk, has actually been helping us out. And she was doing some volunteering, but now she's actually working a couple days a week for us part-time, just to kind of pick up some of the slack, and she's doing a great job. And so we'll let her ride that as long as she wants to. Guys are finishing up the hydrants. We have like 340 hydrants in both cities that go out winterized, so they're out hitting those. You'll see the gator or the pickup truck run around trying to get all those done. Dayton, I think, is 100% done. Bellevue's almost done, so we should have those done within the next week, trying to get in for the weather gets bad. We'll be giving Santa a ride next Saturday, Sunday?
December 3rd.
Yeah, December 3rd. So
Sunday.
we're taking him down the avenue this weekend to pick up letters from Santa, and then we'll have him down here ready to go as long as we can fit the fire truck through. So
Oh, yeah.
other than that, I don't have a whole lot to add.
Thank you, sir. Our heart goes out to your team and the whole city for Miss Strickland's passing.
She was, and we said this for long. She was our glue. She kind
Yeah.
of kept everything. You know, she kept the guys in line, and she did a lot of stuff that I didn't realize that she took care of. I rapidly figured out that she did a lot of work. So, yeah.
She was an amazing human, and
Yep.
yeah, thinking about her family and all that, it was very sad.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Chief AFL, I guess G stands alone, buddy.
Y'all have my monthly report. Only one thing to change was the DUI. We had 4 last month instead of 3. We had 1 report that was missing. We got our 3 vehicles in. They're in the process of being striped and equipped with the lights. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, they'll be out and about. I'm driving mine, but I don't have emergency equipment in it yet. So I just follow the traffic laws if I had to get somewhere. I guess you all have seen the press on K9 Cooper. So we have possession of him now, and Officer Spears has brought the dog down to the school. He's brought it up to the city building.
Feed my office.
Yeah, went to bathroom in the mayor's office.
The city is in love with it.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot of press, positive press, and that's kind of what we were looking for. with building rapport with the police and the community. Like I said, it almost made national news. Just the cuteness of the dog, the picture that Officer Spears took with him in the tactical vest, kind of hanging out. That just, and I think he just did a story last week. Channel 9 did another story on it. So they want to do updates. And so we'll probably bring him in next month to have him sworn in.
Yep.
Yes.
Raise your right paw.
So that way the council can meet him and play with him and all that other stuff. So
We'll be
Yep.
selling tickets for $5.
You might get
People
that.
would.
I know.
I bought a sticker just to put in my car for this dog.
Yeah.
This dog's
Like,
cute dog, and
everyone's talking about
It's
it.
kind of what we've envisioned, so it's working already. And he's not even technically working yet. So the only other thing left is just Officer Fern. He's the recipient of the DUI award for the year. There's a certain time period, and he's our recipient, if I can say it, recipient of it. So he'll be going to Lexington. I think the end of the month, 26th, to receive the award. They do it all throughout the state. So there's one officer from every department that goes down through the state of Kentucky. So it's kind of a big thing. So he'll be the recipient of that. Got it. I was able to
Great.
say it this time. So
Congratulations to him.
I have a question.
yes.
When Spears does his time, does he keep the dog or do we get to keep the dog?
So kind of one thing that we've talked about and he asked to do is sign a longer contract,
Like
6 years.
10 years?
6 years. Well, the dog's usually the length of the dog in service when it starts the first day on the job at work to the day it's out of service is about 9 years.
So
You
he's
get
just
about 9 years out of the
9-year
dog. Yeah.
contract.
So in order for him, he said that he'd love to be a canine handler. And I said, well, this is something that takes time. We put a lot of money into something like this. We would need you to stay here a little bit longer to dedicate your time with the dog and have it be in the community. And he agreed to accept a longer contract.
I'm just saying, you're getting the community involved. It's like one of our kids. We need to keep it.
Yeah. And I think he's developing relationships all throughout the community with the donations, with hometown heroes and stuff like that. He really enjoys being in Dayton and working in Dayton. So I don't see that changing anytime soon.
As Jay just pointed out to me, 6 years is actually 42 years of dog service. That's a long time of serving.
Glad to know.
Any other dog-related questions, police-related questions?
Police related. Chief, do all of our cruisers and vehicles have radar capability?
Yes.
Okay.
They're being upgraded. Like some of them we have to send them off if there's issues with them. They have to be taken out of the cruisers and shipped off to be calibrated again.
Mhm.
We cannot calibrate them ourselves. They have to be done by the manufacturer.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Halfhill, have a good
Thank you.
Thanksgiving if I don't see you, bud.
All right, thank you.
That closes out the Department Director's Monthly Report, which opens up the agenda for the City Administrator's Report. Mr. Fawcett, the floor is yours, sir.
Just a few things to follow up on your Berry Street connector discussion. We were hopeful that we would have sidewalks and curbs this week, but we ran into a little bit of an issue when they were preparing the road for the pavement. They found an old sewer line that was busted and had to call an SD1, which took 3 or 4 days. And then they got rain this week. So we're about a week behind. They were hoping to have the sidewalks and curbs done last week or this week and paving next week, but it looks like everything's going to be shifted about a week or so. So hopefully we can still get it in under the deadline for those asphalt companies to keep on operating. So it's going to be tight, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll get some decent weather.
With the sidewalks, they're going to be on both sides of the street.
That's correct.
So they have not changed that plan. Is there going to be a railing between the sidewalk and this retention wall?
There will have to be by code.
Okay.
Other side where the hill is, there won't be a railing, but around that there will be.
All right.
So a few changes on 6th Avenue. I don't know if you saw today, but siding came off the facade of the Rose Room, and there's a nice little brick facade back there that was underneath that siding. So Jared and I have been working with the owner of the Rose Room, and they're going to participate in the Dayton Business Assistance Facade Improvement Program. We also are withholding some money from the contractor, which damaged their eaves there, or the what do we call it? The roof that came off the front of the building. So we're in the process of working with them to have that redone. I think it's going to look a lot nicer when it's finished. It already looks better. So I think that in the next few weeks, we'll see a transformation of that building. Also, speaking of transformation of buildings, the Burton Building, all the drywall's finished inside. Commercial space is now available for lease. They are taking the old paint off the outside, and some pretty neat stuff being uncovered. One is a sign from the original Kroger store that was in that building.
Oh, wow.
Would say Kroger's Pure Foods, I think it said.
Yeah, something like that.
Got a picture of it.
Tammy got us a really cool picture of it.
But so that's cool. So I don't know when they're going to have the apartments ready. I guess they're now putting in appliances and all those things. So, all the rough end's been done. So now they're making the finishes. So that's awesome. One other thing today, South SD1 Board of Directors approved a $125,000 contribution to our Phase 2 Riverfront Commons project. They have some sewer lines that they need to maintain there. Our project called for a 4-inch trail, 4-inch of concrete. But if they want to run trucks on it, it needs to be 6 inches. And we told them, well, that's fine, but you're going to have to pay for it to upgrade that. And Mike Gager said it's about $125,000. They've agreed to pay that. So we're going to increase the thickness of that trail, at least the area they need to serve their infrastructure, from 4 to 6 inches, but they're going to pay for it. So that's good. Again, now that has been decided, Mike will change the design plans. They're currently before the KYTC for review. But he'll change the design plans to show that as 6 inches. And we're hoping to get approval from them soon. And then if that's the case, we'd like to put it out for bid this winter and be ready to start construction this spring. So we're hoping the numbers come in at a lower number. We've done some changes to the engineering. We got an initial $500,000 from the state for what we expect to be, what the increase is going to be. And we should be good to go. And we hope to also bid out Phase 3 at the same time. So there will be maybe some economies of scale if we get the same contractor to do both and reduce our costs. So that money's been budgeted. We're using ARPA funds for our 20% match, and we have 80% that is being paid through federal grants. That's all I got. Oh, one other thing. We talked about changing the meeting in December.
Oh, yeah.
And also we may need to change it in January. It's the day after January 1st. So we want to talk about that, Mayor?
We can. December, I have a problem on the first Tuesday of the month with a holiday issue.
And so we're talking about moving to
If you
the
wanted to
third.
have it without me, that's fine. If anybody has any problems moving it to the 19th, I understand that's the week of Christmas.
Well, but it's early in the week. Christmas is not till the end of the.
I'd like to be here, but if you guys wanted to go ahead and do it on the first Tuesday, that's great. If not, we'll go ahead and push it to the 19th.
It's actually, the 19th is the Tuesday, and Christmas is not until Monday, the 25th. So you've got a whole week.
Does anybody have a problem with doing it on the 19th? Or you want? All right, so we're gonna go ahead and move the 19th to the 19th, and the 2nd of January would be the January meeting, which kind of is tight on people's schedules. So someone asked me if we could move that to the what would that be?
16th.
The 16th of January.
Yeah.
So if anybody has any problems with that, or if you really want to come in on the 2nd of January, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be cold no matter what. Right. It's January in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
All right. So if no one has any objections, we're gonna go ahead and move those meetings.
Okay.
All right.
Those are already scheduled as regular scheduled meetings. So it's not a special meeting, which requires that you stick to your agenda. You can have discussions about anything you want to.
All right. Any question for City Administrator Jay Fawcett?
Yes,
Yes.
it's really for Jared, maybe. The grant for the Rose Room, I don't know who posted a picture of the original Rose Room, and it has, I don't know what they're called, but above the windows, it has this structure thing.
Lentils.
What is it called?
Lentils.
Lentils?
Yeah.
Lentils. So is the goal to restore it to its original look?
Actually, we were talking to the contractor today about that, and he said he could do that, but I guess it all comes down to cost, because I don't know what it would cost, but we're still looking at the numbers. We haven't seen any numbers yet, so
Mhm.
we're just doing demo net, but I'd like to see it
Yeah.
restored back to its original look as
Yeah,
well.
it really looked
They
great.
took them off when they put the siding down because it would, just put
Mhm.
siding over top of it. But the building next to it has them. It looks
Mhm.
nice, and
Yeah.
it'd be nice to see him again. He says he's done it before, so I'm
Would they
sure
have to make the windows taller? Was there like a
No, I
gap
think
the
or
windows will
something,
stay
or
the same, but
is
they'll
it the
just
same?
they'll have
Okay.
that above them.
Okay.
I mean, it looks like they actually reduced the size of the windows at some point.
Mhm.
So I don't know if they're, again, it's a money thing, whether they can put new windows if they want to put new windows in or not. So, but we actually
Okay.
talked to him today about that.
Thanks.
Jay, I noticed on the budget report that we got this month, and I don't know when this change was made. Previously, on our year-to-date, we would have what the year-to-date expenditure was, and the budget line would reflect the whole year's budget for that line item. It seems that, was there a change so it's a month-to-date now on the budget reporting?
Are you talking about the budget or the balance sheet? Budget.
Let's see, it's not general fund. The actual budget.
It says July through October.
Well, for example, I'll just pull up the first one here. Under police, police regular wages, the actual you have is 256,000 and the budget is 243,000. It just seems like the budget line got changed to month to date. Or am I crazy again?
You're crazy.
All right. For the record, I'd prefer to have it for the whole annual so that we know.
As far as I know, that is, I haven't changed anything, but we'll look at it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to see it too, Joe. We just talk about it offline, but I agree with you. It should be annual.
Well, especially property taxes all come in November and December to prorate that per month. Yeah, we'll discuss it offline.
Cool.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Foss? Or Mr. Barks or anybody really? All right. Moving along on the agenda, next is audience comments. Now, this is where the audience can comment about anything they like. We do ask that folks regulate to 3 minutes, and when they step up, please state your name and address. Other than that, floor is yours, podium is yours.
Hi, I'm Alvina Stanfield. Do you need any, I've never spoken before at city council before, so I don't know.
Yeah, you're fine.
What you need from me. What?
Just your address.
My address is 309 6th Avenue, Dayton, Kentucky. That's the problem, really. My car has been hit 5 times this year. Talked to Mr. Fawcett. Mr. Fawcett told me to park behind the house. Problem is, when I used to park a vehicle back there, it was repeatedly damaged because there's no light in there and other people's garages were broken into. And I'm not asking to fix that. I'm asking for you to kind of pay attention and figure out what the choices are to minimize this, because just sitting here speaking with my neighbor, I realized that over the past 2 years, we have had 20 car damages in that area, 20 of us. And I personally have paid 3 different deductions on my insurance, which was $1,500, because either the most of mine have been hit and runs. But even the one that hit and destroyed my Passat wasn't cited, even though she drug her axle trying to get away from the accident. She hit three cars, was underinsured to 25,000, did over 60, well, at $60,000 damage. And I don't know whether we need speed bumps or rumble sticks or a stop sign at the end of, because we have a red light at one end, but we have then there's a speed that we usually get hit on the north side because people are traveling from the west end to the east end. And of course, I think part of the problem is probably what has benefited the city the most was increasing the residences here, so that we have significantly more traffic because that house has been in my family since 1971. And we never had any accidents until more recently. So I think it's the increased traffic and the idea that I know we have radar, we have a sign that says radar, but, and I'm not saying anything bad about the police. They have their own activities they have to do, but we really need someone paying more attention. And I know Senator Reginald Taylor put forth an issue a bill, and I don't really know if it's passed. I tried to find out, but so that the police can use cameras to click and give citations based on people who run red lights, speed. But the person who hit my car had to have been going at her about 50. Now, she lied to the police, told them 25, except that you don't destroy your entire front end assembly of your wheel by hitting a car at 25 miles an hour, nor do you drive on your axle 150 feet in total. And I'm the example, really, because everybody on the street, like I said, I've counted for.
It's just that block, ain't it?
Please.
Isn't it just that one block?
We have the worst because we have a curve. And what strikes me is if we had rumble streets with rumble strips somewhere, generated somewhere around that curve. I just saw, she showed me a picture of, she's going to mention it to you because she lives on the same street. Yeah, but the curve seems to be accelerating the problem, and the additional traffic has become a bigger problem. But because as the curve coming towards the east is this way. So as the cars come around, they swing a little bit towards the people coming from the west, which is probably why they're swinging to the right, because they're believing this car is hitting them. Because I spoke with a policeman today, actually, about the curve on 6th Avenue, and he said, I've worked here 3 years and I don't see a curve. I haven't seen a curve. But if you drive from the east to the west, you can see those houses actually see the roof lines curve. So that's part of the problem. But whether it would take a stop sign, like in front of Lil's, where that restaurant is on the corner, and the rumble, whatever, more lighting. I found some lights that can be embedded into the roadway that has slight illumination, or some of those things that, are upright. I don't know what it would take, and somebody else is going to have to figure that part out. But I spent $33,000 to buy a car I didn't need. I had a Passat that they paid $12,000 towards it, and it was in perfect condition. It was absolutely no reason for it to be destroyed, but an irresponsible driver hit it and then hit two other cars, damaging them. And it's just, I know it's a problem without a real solution, except that we've always been able to hit, there's really enough room for the parking and the cars on 6th. It's just that they're swinging into the parked cars. So, I mean, a couple years ago, I had my truck destroyed the same way. He just drove right into it. And of course, I think they did, I don't know that they cited him. I know he destroyed his van when he did it, so I don't know what the police did. I mean, they woke me up in the morning to tell me my truck had been destroyed. So anyway, but I don't, do you guys have any questions? I'm sorry, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be talking about, other than I know I
No,
have a
all of yous
problem,
live
and
in the
maybe
same
you guys
block.
don't know about the problem. We've
Right?
talked- I've talked to
All
them.
of yous.
I have a question for the police chief. To the best of your knowledge, especially in that 300 block that we're referring to here, as she said, you're cruising from Berry through Dayton Avenue, past McKinney, and if that light's green, you just keep on cruising. It's a long drive and people tend to get distracted. And I think, as she said, that slight turn to the left is part of the problem that we can't eliminate. How many wrecks on the north side of the street versus the south side of the street in that block?
Talking with the mayor.
Hey, Chief,
I did a little,
you
I
go
did
to
a
the speaker.
little digging and research, excuse me. And a lot, I do have a map and I'll pass it around. We're going back to about 2014 of the avenue and the accidents on the avenue.
Mhm.
So going back to 2014, we've had 95 accidents and 17 in the 300 block. It's total. And then we had 18 around the area of Vine and Urban where people are pulling from Vine or Urban onto 6. So it could touch the 300 block, could touch the 200 block, but we have a lot of, intersections.
Right.
But the cause of the accidents is kind of what I was looking at too. And I shared with the mayor, a lot of them is driving inattention. It's all inattention. Not all, I shouldn't say all. I mean, going through the ones recently on 6, there was a side swipe, a bus came through. Somebody ran a stop sign, inattention, rear end. DUI, 3 vehicles were struck. Girl was looking at her phone, hit 4 cars. Another one was inattention, phone. And then last year was side swipe, inattention, backing, snow, inattention. 1 speeding, but that was a DUI. He was arrested. Ice. 2 pulled out from Vine Street on the 6th. So it's pretty much, we have a lot of inattention. And I was just telling Cass, my daughter just got rear-ended last night in the 400 block of Fairfield. And she looked in her rearview mirror and the lady was on her phone. She's okay. The damage was minimal, but it's just, we have a lot of people just not paying attention.
But my
That's what
question
I'm
was,
finding.
the car, I know that on the north side of that block, it seems like that's pretty solid with parked cars. Whereas on the south side, across the street from you guys, there doesn't seem to be as many cars parked on the street, but there are usually some. And all the accidents that I notice seem to be with westbound traffic,
The east side.
which is where your cars get hit. Do you think that making Irvin a full stop would have any positive effect on that? Because you'd have to stop and you would see that the road comes slightly to the left. I mean, we hit up KYTC to change Berry and 6 to a 4-way stop and it's been a success. Do you think it would have the same effect at Irvin Terrace intersection?
Me? You're asking me?
Chief.
Oh,
Yeah, your opinion. I mean-
Well, here's my opinion on that. The people on the south side have a level lot and they have it's almost solid garages there.
Right.
Including a neighbor across the street. I think he has a 3-car garage he built.
Yeah, there's more off
And so they have plenty more, whereas our off street is fairly inaccessible and it's so dark. Like I said, when I had my vehicle parked down there, it was hit so many times by vandals and by not by cars, but by vandals, that when I would call for glass replacement, they knew that when I gave him my name, Dickies knew the model number of the thing. And twice he said, "Oh, I've already ordered one. I figured you'd be back." So I mean, it was back behind the behind the houses is not a good choice. And the police have no real time to spend monitoring alleys as well as main streets. I mean,
Understood.
that's just too much to ask, you
But
know?
I know that you mentioned rumble strips or the speed bumps or whatever.
Yeah, she
That's
has
that.
information
I
on
can't see
them.
KYTC wanting to do, I mean, we
I
could
could
ask.
see KYTC wanting to maybe possibly do the rumble in the middle on the yellow line. That's an ask we can ask of them. I disagree with alley parking. I alley park every night. My neighbors do. We all do. And there's no lighting back there except for what we supply. That's coming off our garages or whatever. And I'm a block away. I'm in the 400 block. So
Well, sir, I put up a solar light and they ripped it out. I put a solar light up when I was going to start parking because Mr. Fawcett told me to start parking back there. And so I put a solar light up with the intention of trying to park in, because that way, when they went to vandalize my new car, which I had to buy because of the wreck, then at least there would be some light there and maybe I could get a camera there, like as a deer cam. They ripped it down within about 3 weeks of me just putting the light up there. I mean, it's an impossible place to live, really. But I would think the rumble strips across the street would be more helpful than in the center, because the problem really is, and like the policeman said, he's worked here 3 years and he didn't know we had a curve. And I think if you come from the from the west, I always get them mixed up. When you come from the west, you really don't notice it as much, and you just kind of automatically steer. And if you're coming from the east to the west, you don't have the perception that there's a curve there, but there's a significant curve. And we need maybe a signs up on the posts saying curve ahead might help, like they have on highways. I have no idea what the suggestion would be for it, but the four-way stop does help, except how many people will ignore that. You know, it'd be worth a try, but you mean on Vine, you mean a four-way stop on Vine versus Erlang, because we have a light on Urban Terrace. We already have a light on Urban Terrace.
But the light's
the light-
usually green, so
Right.
it goes through
So
that.
people just
and
go
hit
through
your
it.
cars. If they had to stop,
I see what your thought
if
is.
they had to stop there, then they wouldn't be going as fast, and they would realize that it's a slight turn to the left.
Well, and it would also give the police an option of giving offenders tickets, because nobody who's hit my car has had been ticketed, including the lady you mentioned, hit my car and hit two other cars. She lied about where she lived. She gave a vacant lot for her address. She said she's going 25 when you wouldn't destroy a whole car's wheel assembly at 25. And it's just, I know you have to take it for what they say. I'm not saying you should have done different. I'm saying there's some things that it's just.
We had some suggestions, but we had to take it to the state because it was a state route.
Right.
We can't.
We've already seen this.
Okay, well.
Was a
Okay,
stop
would we be
sign in
allowed-
Irvin one of the suggestions?
My suggestions, I said to the mayor, was maybe put the rumble strip in the middle. That way if somebody drifts over, if they're not paying attention, it would wake them up without crossing over, because I think that's what happened to Miss Cleet's car. They crossed over the center. They were going east.
They were going east.
And they hit you, your vehicle was on the other side, wasn't it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought there was a lane.
West, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, yeah, toward the express.
Okay.
But-
To help any type of crossover or missing the curb, or maybe, reflectors going down the avenue where it shows maybe the bend. But we can only suggest that. That's something the
Understood.
state has to.
Do you know if the most back people down Irvin is running left?
I'd have to re-look at it. There's a,
I live on 8th and Irvin, and I see this all the time.
for this little city, the accidents we have, I think we had 76 so far this year, 79 last year, 83 in 2021, 96, that's in 2017. We said 69.
I agree with Joe. It needs to go
We
to a
have lot of
four-way stop.
accidents in the city. A lot in 8th and Irvin. That's
That's
another
that's
side.
why I live there and I see this. I see the light turning green on
They want to try to get it. Yep.
And then they have to turn, the car coming eastbound, step back, stop off, step back. And then enough room. I see it. I don't know what the answer is, but I think we need some kind of professional help to look at this area.
Talked about
And I don't think just discussing it is. If we got kids, it's kind of a rough area. Pedestrian and paved and urban, whether it needs to be one way or on top and I redirect the traffic thing. And council people, citizens, we have, Ollie, to look at this problem. We can look at it, but not come up with correct solution. Yeah.
I mean, the bottom line is we have to talk with the KYTC. That's their roadway, and they have experts on staff that look at these issues, especially with the chief's analysis of all these accidents since, what, 2015, or was that when you went back to 2014? It actually looks like there were more accidents in the past than there are now, but there's still a lot of accidents. Yeah. Right. But, so, I mean, we can request, but, you know, the KYTC is, they've got a lot of projects, and so, but, you know, it seems like there's quite a few accidents, and maybe there's something they can do, but it's their, make it very clear to us, we can't touch that road. It's their road, and only they can make any changes to it. But we can definitely engage them and have a conversation with them about it.
Okay, so Lisa Cleet.
Hi, Lisa Cleet, 317 6th Avenue, also on the same issue. We unfortunately have been victim this last year, starting in December of last year, where a drunk driver hit and totaled our parked car at front of 317 6th. They were either not insured or the insurance hasn't paid, and we are still fighting that. So there goes our $500 deductible, plus our paid off car had to be replaced, which we did in January. Bought a new car, put $4,000 down on it, was paying extra on it. And October 29th, a drunk driver hit that car and totaled it, pushing it into our other vehicle, which we also then had to get rid of. So we have lost 3 vehicles in the last year from there. We do not have off-street parking. We have a backyard that's raised about 3.5 feet off the alley. And just to have it dug out and cement thrown down, no retaining wall, anything, we're talking $10,000 plus to have that done, which is not in our family budget at this time. So we are in a stuck position where that is our parking. Yes, we could park around the block, you know, if you can find parking there, because people live there and they have their parking. But I have a bum knee, so it's kind of hard for me to be making that with groceries or anything else. So we still are parking on the avenue most of the time, although the weekends we have now started parking off the avenue because trying to avoid those drunk drivers. But one thing that was brought up and bring up again, which I spoke to Mayor Baker about, is that there is a bend going from the 4th block of 6 to the 3rd block of 6 right there at Irvin. It bends. And when there's not parked cars there, we watch, and we Halloween, we're sitting out and watching how wide all the vehicles take it because there's no parked cars. And then we've got our parked car, which is one of the first ones that's there, and we're hitting the brunt of it. My neighbor was out just last week raking leaves, and this was the middle of the day, Miss Taylor, my her neighbor, and she said she went running for her front porch because the truck that was coming down the avenue, she thought it was going to rear end my new car. It was coming that fast down the avenue, and you know, we're concerned. We need something, whether it's a stop, which would be great. That would definitely slow down, because every one of our accidents, they were definitely going over the speed limit. Whether it's reflectors, something there to let them know, hey, there is a little bit of a change in direction here, but something, because we don't have an option of off-street parking. You know, that's not in the budget. So anything that could be done to help improve that would be steps towards keeping people like us in Dayton. We've actually considered selling our house because we have no option right now, you know, for continuing buying new vehicles on the avenue. We've been in Dayton forever. My husband's a graduate of Dayton. I taught at Dayton here for almost 28 years, and we'd like to stay, but we can't continue losing vehicles the way we are right now. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cleet.
Thanks for getting this. I'm Sally Stanfield, 307 6th. One thing about that solar light that she didn't say is that there's human crap in that parking spot. They pulled that light down and threw it in the yard to take a dump behind the house. So look, don't leave that out. Yeah, the people on the south side of the street, you know how you're going down the hill. They have a nice pull in and a wall in front. We have a nice walk in and a wall in back. I also have not a single spot behind my house. And my rock wall, the top of it is this thick. It's estimated the bottom is probably this thick because Miss Taylor saw the guy put it in, and she's like, "Don't even try. It's as thick as the foundation of a house." It also there's plumbing going through my yard that would probably, I think it's where it comes through the original rain sewer. Like it's just a little bit. It's only about this deep, so I don't think I can really mess with that. We were quickly tallying. If you take the Brooks's cars, that's when the pharmacy used to be up there where the old high school apartments are. They closed that guy down. He used to come down that street and he'd smash into their cars. And you start counting those cars and Vicky's car and the car that got shoved up across the street. That's probably the one that crossed the side. The white car that got shoved up over the sidewalk, up into the yard. I think it's $750,000 in cars just since I bought my house. And I bought the house next door to grandma's house. And they did move that light. Do you remember this? They moved that light. And maybe that was like the turning of the tide. I don't know what year that light got moved, but I bet a double stop sign would be a blessing. Like, I don't know if that's something to fight for. As far as rumble strips go, I thought he's right. I totally agree with him. It's inattention. It's not really anybody being deliberate. I could get on Amazon. I found rumble strips that could carry 11,000 pounds per axle. I don't know how many pounds would be needed. Very affordable. But I was thinking more like in that space closer to the parked cars, not interfering with the driving where you should be driving. When you get over, that would force us to park on them. But I think if people had a little heads up before they actually made the collision, you know, it might be a good deterrent that the state might go for to guide them away, you know, just to make them more aware that they've drifted if they weren't being aware of it. I noticed there was a pretty distinct discrepancy between the number of accidents I'm counting and the number he reported. I think it's because of us, all the hit and runs, you don't call them. You call your insurance directly. So I'll bet that there's a lot of underreporting. Like I think we've had 5 hits just between us that we didn't report to the police. That did require. That's just 2 of us on the same street. Change double stop. Oh, the physics there. I know these. Do cars have a box that tells you how fast they were going? Okay, that would be awesome because, like, I teach physics, and the person that hit her car at 309 took her axle off with her car because there was axle grease going down the side. That car hit the ground and kept going almost into the intersection. So, like, all the way down hers, all the way down mine, all the way down my neighbor's, all the way to the store on the corner, the shop on the corner. The physics says that wasn't 25 miles an hour when one of her axles was gone at 309. Actually, it could have even been on the far side because she hit the Jeep too. There's those cars that get flipped over. I don't know how many cars have flipped, but I can think of 2. And from what I can think, you got to be hauling to flip your car. It's no 25 miles an hour, but I thought those cars, if they're radar equipped, when I was a kid, maybe you remember this. If you were speeding on the avenue, you got a ticket at 27 miles an hour. You got a ticket at 28 miles an hour. They didn't wait for you to flip your car over to give you a ticket to see if you were speeding or not. You know, I mean, somehow when I was growing up and getting my driver's license, going to my grandma's house and taking that god-awful dog to the groomer, I would get a ticket. I want them to get a ticket. You know, I work with children. You don't wait until they're nuts before you tell them to be quiet. You fix them when they just make the first sound. I think that would be great policing. And I don't know if that can be altered or budgeted, especially in the third shift hours. Most of the accidents are third shift. There's only a handful that have been really broad daylight that didn't involve just some ridiculous lack of sobriety. I know that your hands are kind of tied, and I really appreciate your time, but I don't know how many, I bet there are other feasible options. Like, I think the accidents per capita is crazy high. It's more than one per residence on our block within the last couple years. And this is a pedestrian city. I think that if that doesn't get maintained and curbed and turned and fixed, it's just a matter of playing roulette with all those pedestrians. And all these new people are getting invited into the city, and all the PR you can fix will not fix somebody getting a hit and run when that report gets investigated, when they see hundreds and hundreds of accidents on the same chunk. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just thinking that this is a terrible future painted for anybody trying to walk on that street. So thank you for all of your time.
Thank you for your time. Would anybody else like to address council? All right.
So what's the next step then, that you call the state and ask
Well,
for
I'm
a
gonna-
study, or what are they?
I'm going to call Mike Yeager, who's our city engineer. He worked for the state, and find out what he would recommend. I mean, he knows still a lot of people that work there, and we need to get a meeting with, I don't know who it is. I want to ask him who we need to meet with, just to talk about, hey, can we look at making some changes here? And obviously, there are some issues, and see where we go from there. So,
Do you request things, or do they make a recommendation, or
what's that?
do you request something, or do they make a recommendation? Like, we
Well,
want
same as
rumble
we did
strips,
with
we want urban
corner
terrace.
Normally, what they do, the same thing we did at Berry Street, was they'll do a study.
Okay.
And I'd like to have Chief all that information we put together to present to them and show them. I don't know if you have a copy of it. That's your only copy. Make sure you grab it. But I'd like to have that, maybe put together something, and you know, we can share the testimony you all had here tonight about how many vehicles have been hit, how much it's cost you, and so hopefully, you know, they'll look into it, and you know, will they do another four-way stop at Irvin? Would that help? Do we think about bump outs? I mean, there's a lot of things that we can look at. So, but I'm not an expert. I'm not a traffic engineer.
Okay.
So, I would like to have a conversation. They do have traffic engineers, and hopefully they can come up with some solutions.
It's going to have to be an ongoing conversation. I mean, I've lost a car in the Avenue, my beloved Jeep, you know, my cool lifted Jeep. Some kid took it out 4 o'clock in the morning. So I get it. I mean, I'm your neighbor. I live on the same. Yeah, I get it. So let's figure it out. It's very simple.
And now we've waited long enough, the repaving Avenue, which is great. Except I look down at my speedometer, it's like, I'm doing more than 25.
Give that man a ticket.
Yeah. No, it's just easier to go faster.
Yeah, slow them down, yeah.
Okay.
You may not have heard it, but Joe said, "Put the potholes back." That'll slow him down. That was funny.
To Kentucky.
I appreciate everyone's time tonight on this concern. This is a concern of ours as well. It's a concern of the police, public safety, and the walkability of our city. Because I mean, I was there, Lisa, when your car got hit a couple weeks ago. I mean, if that was a person walking down the street, we'd have a different conversation. Sorry, man. Yeah, I sat there and just kind of watched cops do their work. And sorry, man. Yeah, we've got some great cops. Well, let's figure out what we can do before the fact and stop it from happening, or at least slow it down a little bit. Appreciate y'all's time.
Bill, for giving you more abilities to camera and ticket. Does that might help also? I don't know what that would
Oh, we can look into that.
That was the bill that he put forward. If he actually re-upped it from a previous time. I don't know whether it's tabled or what, but I tried to find out for this meeting. But I'll try to find that out too, because that would give the police more, without having to add people or cars, that would help to be able to give tickets, because in other states, they ticket from the light, from the speed. You know, they don't have to have a policeman at all. If that's the picture, then the ticket is sent to the license.
Gotcha.
In other states. Not here, yeah. Good.
Well, we'll look into that. It's an excellent point. Well, thank you.
I'll make the motion.
Well, we still have new business. And really quick on new business, I would like to make sure that everyone is aware that on December 3rd, we will have Light Up Dayton. Right here in this very room, we'll be giving out children presents and we'll giving out families hot dogs and hot chocolate. And then we're going to go up to the monument. We're going to sing Christmas carols. And we might have a visit from Santa. So that's my new business. Does anybody else have any new
Or the
business?
Grinch, maybe.
Maybe you will show up, Jess.
Maybe. Maybe.
Anybody else have any new business?
I'll hold off until next meeting.
All right, well, that's going to be on
Thanks,
December 19th at 7 p.m. at this very room.
That's our Christmas present. Came early.
Anybody else have any new business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Second, third, fourth, fifth.
All in favor? Happy Thanksgiving. I'm thankful.